Hello and welcome to the Matthew Allton Art channel again. It's been a week since I did the last video, so here I am again doing another one. It's coming up to the deadline for the fortnightly art challenge on the Patreon. Those of you that follow the channel will know that I've got a Patreon and we have people on there who choose topics for each fortnight. And the topic for this fortnightly challenge was fruit. So I've decided to do some seasonal fruit as it's July and do some cherries in a bowl. I took a reference photograph the other evening to work from, and I've sketched out fairly accurately where the main shapes are in the still life composition. I'm using a piece of primed plywood panel that I primed with gesso a while back. There was a video about that if you want to go and check how I did that, sanded it and primed it in a few layers. I'm going to be using the graduate oil paints, Daler-Rowney graduate oil paints, as I usually do for oil paintings, and a little bit of liquid as well, liquid medium. I'll put a link to the resources that I use in the description of the video for those of you that want to purchase them. I am an Amazon affiliate, so I do get a few pence from everybody that actually does buy through those links from Amazon. Okay, well, I'm just going to start by blocking out really the main colours in here just to get rid of all the white, because that can often be off-putting for getting the tones right. So I'll probably start with the background, and it's actually on, the still life photograph was on some cardboard. So I'll block that in and then I'll start going into the details. So let's see how we get on. So as you can see, I'm starting to scumble on the oil paint onto the gesso. I haven't used liquid this time. Last time I used a plywood panel, I put liquid on it as I would with the paper that I normally use. I've learnt from that and not done that this time because it made it too slippery and difficult to cover the gesso using liquid. So you can see I'm just scumbling it on. It's quite thin. You can see the gesso through it, but of course I'll build up the layers of this and it will gradually disappear. Using quite a large brush, but not too large. The light is coming in from the right hand side as we look at this painting, so I'm just sort of darkening. I've put sort of an all over colour on here, and then I'm darkening the top and towards the left of the board. And here you can see I'm lightening the right hand corner, and that will continue throughout the painting. It'll help give the sort of lighting on the actual subject. As you can see, the gesso is starting to disappear now with the more layers of white and raw umber I think I'm putting on the top corner, left hand corner. Now starting to put that very darker shadow under the bowl on, and darkening up the top left corner again. Of course, adding that dark bit under the bowl, that's the darkest thing pretty much on the actual painting, and that helps me judge the tones of everything else going forwards. I've sort of got the lightest tone on here because the bowl is white anyway. Well, not white, as all white generally isn't white, but it's close to the tone anyway of the bowl. So I've now got the lightest and the darkest areas on. Now adding the shadows behind the cherries that aren't in the bowl. the cherries are black cherries, so some of them are dark like the one that I've just added, and some of them are a bit more purplish red. You can see how I'm building them up. I'm generally adding the lightest colour first and then adding some darker colours onto them so that the lighter stuff still shines through. That sort of adds depth to each cherry. They're very shiny as well, cherries, so you'll see as I do this bit that I'm adding lots of subtle reflections on them. There are some harsh reflections from the main light, but there's also subtle secondary reflections from the cardboard that they're lying on and that sort of thing. That cherry there, half in the, well, mainly in the shadow of the bowl, is quite dark, but you'll see that there is some more detail added shortly. Just very, very subtly building up the right textures and shapes and reflections. It took a very long time, this painting, and actually I don't record the whole video because it would have been eight hours. Obviously I speed it up, but it would have been 8 hours recording and I would have run out of storage space on the phone that I use to record the videos. But it's very much similar. I carry on similar in the same similar fashion to how I'm doing these cherries at the beginning here. You can see that they're starting to look a bit rounder now. They've got a more strong highlight on them as well. Now I'm just detailing up where the actual stalks come from. And now adding the stalks. Very difficult to do this wet in wet really, because you can't really load the paint up on the brush enough. You can see that I'm using a large brush there as a sort of stick to lean on so that I'm not smudging the work that I've already done, and I use that throughout this painting. It's a really handy tool to have. It just means you can rest your hand on something and not smudge. And you can see that's those 3 cherries pretty much done. Just adding the shadows under the stalks now in various places to make them pop off the actual flat surface. Well, as I said in the earlier part of the video, I didn't record the whole painting here, and that's because it took about 6, 8, maybe even more hours to actually paint the whole thing. But I did take some photos of stages as I went through. So you can see here, this is the next stage after the 3 cherries that the video covered. And I've painted in the bowl here, trying to get some of the shadows in it. Those intensify as the painting goes on, so that there's shadows inside the bowl on the right hand side of the bowl, and that makes the light pop on the left hand side inside bowl, and also the shadows on the outside of the bowl are intensified slightly to give it more three-dimensionality. You can see that I've also done the base colours of the cherries in the bowl, and then as I did with the cherries outside the bowl, I just titivated those by adding very tiny marks resting on the paintbrush on the edge of the plywood panel, so that I wasn't smudging again, and continued until I'd finished. And this is the final painting. I'm really quite happy with it. It took a long time, but it's definitely got the sort of impression of nice juicy black cherries. It's quite sort of painterly. It's not every detail is painted in, but there's enough there to sort of give you the impression of the fruit. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, then give it a thumbs up. Please do comment on the videos as well. Is there something that you would do that I could do differently in the future? Are there any techniques that you use that might make it easier for me to do my paintings? It's all about learning on this channel, as you know. I'm not an expert, but learning everything that I do, trying different things each time, experimenting with different mediums and supports. I really enjoyed painting on the plywood panel this time. Not using the liquid helped right from the start, and it's definitely a surface that I think I'll continue to paint on. It's quite a sturdy, non-rough textured surface that I really like, and it's not as absorbent as the paper. I used to use Arches wheel paper, which is quite absorbent, which is why I used the liquid on that surface. Okay, well, thanks for your time. If you're new here and this is the first video you've watched from this channel, then do subscribe. I try and do videos as regularly as I can. It's not always easy with a daytime job as well, but I do them as often as I can. So it'll help notify you when new videos come if you subscribe. And thanks for your time, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.